trying to get better at listening. And so I have a lot to say on every topic, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But this is a topic that I've invested a lot of myself into because I think we all feel a lot of pressure to be something. That something might be a little bit different for every person here. You might feel the need to be externally successful or to be in a healthy relationship or whatever. But there's always some sort of pressure to be a success. I think that word has a lot of mixed emotions associated with it, success, because it seems like it's reserved for a select few in our society, and the rest of us are meant to not feel successful. And as I wanted to get into that a little bit, I'm going to share my screen. I believe I have 3 hours, so I'll use that full up. And then that's why I checked what time it was to make sure you guys can handle it. Just kidding. Everybody relax. Share the screen. Boom. Move out of the way. Stinking thing. Oh, everything's in the way. Here we go. Yeah, so I'd like to, in this, just help to possibly redefine what it means to be successful, because I've been around a while. I've lived in many different places. I've met enough people who are externally successful, by every measure, famous, really rich, blah, blah, blah. And some of them are happy, for sure. And some of them are absolutely miserable. And I've also met the really, super poor people. We lived in Indonesia last year. We lived in Bali for like a year. And I swear to God, it broke all my concepts of what it means to be happy. Because some of the people you meet, they have no shoes on. They're walking around with no shoes. They have like an open shirt. Guys have open shirts. Some of them are lacking a few teeth in the front. And they're sunburnt. They're super wrinkly. They don't fit into an Instagram version of success. And I'm telling you, they're happier than anybody else that I've ever met. Some of these people, some of them weren't. So it's not like a judgment. I'm just saying circumstances, external environment is not a key indicator for success. Wholeness, in my perspective, wholeness is the true measure of success. And that's my thesis here today that I'm going to try to, I guess, persuade you to believe. Because we've been really brainwashed. I know it's still like that in Europe. I know you guys have those football players like Ronaldo or whatever who, whatever. That's from a very young age. We buy into this narrative that success looks a certain way, and it can be absolutely measured by some metric of, amount of cars, what type of car or house or popularity online, social media. It's something that should be quantifiable. And I wage the, think about it. The happiest that you've ever been, were you thinking about external stuff at that time? The chances are no. The chances are you were having a really great moment, spiritually. Maybe you had a deep experience with God. Maybe you had an amazing experience with your friend. Maybe you just felt alive. Like I had this one summer, I had like the worst is the best summer, and then the worst fall, and worst winter, and then the best spring. And I was having this awakening, and I was just bike riding around. I was from Toronto in Canada. So I was doing comedy shows back then, and I'd just bike around. I was just in the best mood all day, every day. And I couldn't measure that, what was going on. It was just a transformation that I was going through. It was purely internal. And that's what I'm proposing here, is that the happiest that you'll ever be, you won't be able to necessarily measure by external means. You won't be able to say, oh, I'm happy because I finally have enough stuff or enough followers or whatever. That's all a losing battle. The model that I'm proposing is that true wholeness, we need to be whole in 3 main areas, and you might recognize them. I'm just rephrasing some of this stuff. I'm sure you deeply intuitively know all this already. A harmonious self. Harmony within yourself allows things to flow, ideas to flow. It allows an idea to come from abstract, to become clear, to become substance. When you have a clear mind and a clear heart, and it's all working in tandem, you can have an inspiration and create something right there and then. But if you have a great idea and you're in chaos, in a state of chaos mentally, you start to doubt yourself. You start to say, oh, I can't do this. Like, let's say it's a song. Oh, I'm not good enough for that, or blah, blah, blah. And then the song, this beautiful song that came in pure form, gets whittled away by your discord within. So to have a harmonious self is to allow all the good stuff that's all around us at all times to kind of flow through us in the form of ideas, connection, all, like inspiration, all the stuff that, again, where do ideas come from? They're not already in your brain. They come from somewhere. Your brain is it's like a radio transmitter, and it gets ideas, and then we transmute it into substance somehow. But you cannot do that if you're not harmonious within yourself. Harmonious relationships, that means that things are flowing between you. I guess a synonym would be, for harmony would be flowing. Like there's just like a natural, easeful flow to it. So when you're in a harmonious relationship, it's very easy to tell somebody anything that's in your heart. When there's friction, and I'm sure you guys know this with your parents, like if you've ever been in a difficult spot with your parents, you feel like they don't understand you, then you might have a feeling or a thought, and you can't easily express it to them. Everything becomes complicated and in a sense chaotic. So harmony is the flow of I'm feeling this, and the good stuff and the bad stuff, and you pass it, and you're both doing that, and you're creating this harmony. You're creating this song of a relationship. And last is a harmonious relationship with your purpose and your contribution to your time on this earth. And again, I was having a really good talk with somebody yesterday about that could mean something to do with like building an empire, but it could also just mean I've met some janitors. I don't know if you've ever met a really happy janitor, but I've met some bus drivers or janitors that are just living it up. They're way happier than some of the people that are wealthy in the back of the bus. There's this one lady out here, this big African-American lady out here who sings songs for the whole bus as she's driving, in this big, beautiful voice. And she's, by golly, she's the happiest person on that bus at all times. And she's driving that forward. So her purpose is just to bring joy into all those people's lives. For her, it's her purpose isn't like, job related. It's what she does with that job. I hope that made sense. So let's get into these. So harmony with yourself. So symbiosis is thriving. To create a healthy ecosystem within yourself, within your mind, heart, body, and soul. Within this, that's symbiosis. That's when everything's kind of flowing nicely and you can create something. Chaos is the death. It's the death of all the good things that you want to do. You won't be able to do them if you're in a state of chaos. If you have a lot of hopes and dreams for your life, you can consider them, that sounds harsh. Just don't count on them ever happening if you yourself are chaotic. Because even if somehow you think this job's going to make you happy, but you're really depressed or you're like all over the place mentally or emotionally, you might even get that job. But guess what? You're not going to enjoy it. It's not going to change how you feel about yourself. So to have a thriving mind, oh man, to have a thriving mind is to be bustling with ideas. When you're really turned on in life, like when you're really alive, you get so many ideas, even for stuff that you have no business having ideas for. Like, I have a new way to floss my teeth. I've had these ideas. Like when I'm really in a great mood, I've had innovations. I don't do anything with them because I don't feel called to do that, but I'll tell people about it. But some stuff, you should make into substance. Some stuff is just because you're in that space where all these ideas are, all these amazing ideas, and you can tap into the infinite possibility of any idea. And sometimes you get, a strange idea. Like I created a line of umbrellas, like weird, crazy umbrellas to like how to make them last longer. Because you guys are in England, some of you are in the UK, so you know about umbrellas. Like your umbrella game has to be tight because it's raining every day over there. But I found out a way like this, and I'm not really good at math, but I figured out how to create an umbrella that will never break when the wind blows. I figured it out. I'm not going to, again, do anything with that because I don't really care about that. But that's what happens when you're high. like naturally high, mentally high, when your mind is thriving, when you're in a really good place, and you're not putting all the brakes on, when you're allowing things to flow, you get so many ideas. Which, when you have a thriving, powerful heart as well, when your heart really feels the connection between things. Okay, so to have like an abundant heart set, a heart that's really on fire, you don't see the difference between you and other people. You don't see the difference or feel the difference between the you now and the you that you want to be in the future. It's all one and the same. When we have a limited, scarcity focused heart and emotions, limited, reductionist heart set, then we see the difference between us and other people. We say, oh, they're different because of this. Oh, I don't like this about this person. You start seeing the difference. And then you also start looking at your life and you say, I want this. And then you feel bad about yourself, or I should be more like this. And you start judging yourself. Judgment is a sign that you don't have a powerful heart. Your heart is weak. It's the light inside of you is very dim. To have like a raging inferno of love is to infuse it with possibility and hope. And again, you stop seeing the separation. You stop wanting anything else because you're just happy for what you have. You're like on fire just for the fact that you are alive. That's to have a really powerful heart. And then you spread that with because when you're in a really natural state like that, people will pick up on it. My God, they'll be so addicted to being around you. It almost gets annoying, to have an expansive spirit. There's so many different ways that you can explain spirit, and I'm sure you guys have your own definition or own understanding, but the most practical way for the sake of this talk is really that if you have an idea and it feels really good, you have this idea, it makes you feel really good. In order to turn that idea into action, you're going to have to force your body to do something that it doesn't want to do, because it just wants to sit around and consume calories all day. That's what your body wants. It's pretty simple. So in order to get your body to actually get up and do it, you have to have a spirit that's like that pushes you into a state of action. You have to get buy-in from your body through your spirit, and your heart and your mind. Like they all have to have this conversation. They all have to agree, and that's when you're kind of in line. That's when you're creating harmony. And your body is essentially just the vessel for your hopes and your dreams. It's also the thermometer for where you're at. If you think about it, emotionally, you'll be able to tell which emotions you're experiencing in your body. Can we mute that person? Thank you. Gracias. A lot of people think like they focus either too much on their body or too little on their body. Like if you just deny your body, which is what a lot of really religious people do, they're like, I hate my body. It's like, it's evil. I was like, no, your body is just a vessel for your hopes and dreams to make them turn into reality. But they're also there to tell you how mentally you're doing, how spiritually you're doing, and how artistically you're doing. So when all these things are aligned, then you have harmony within yourself. And when you have harmony and synergy, you have a sense of thriving. You have an ecosystem that's working well together. Harmony in relationships is trust. I kind of got into this a bit. It's having friends who think differently than you too. Too many people are inclined to hang out with people who think like them, who dress like them, who act like them. That's very limiting. You need people who think differently and who can challenge you, but how you can respectfully disagree and still love them and still invest in them, even though they see the world slightly differently than you. To practice the soft love and the tough love. This is a really important thing as you guys practice to become spouses and parents. I have 3 little boys, and I have to be really selective with the love that I'm giving to them, because if I'm too tough on them, I could really hurt them and I could really, do some damage. But also if I'm always so soft, my God, I don't know about Europe, but definitely in Canada and America, I've met some parents that like touch their kids with like gloves, and they're like, oh, Jonathan, you're so precious. And they like treat them like a little egg, and they're just creating a disaster. That kid's going to be such a, like, I don't know, it's going to be like a tornado in society, because he won't know how to deal with, being told, hey, guess what? You're not the only person in this world. Hey, guess what? You're affecting me too. We're in a relationship. So to be able to test out these kind of your soft love and your tough love, it's what creates a real sense of intimacy in a relationship and harmony. if you're always nice to people and you don't tell them what you really think and how you really feel, you're not letting them know you. And also, you're not letting them learn how they're impacting you. So you're stunting their growth as well. So to create harmony, sometimes there's friction in a relationship, but you deal with it, you talk about it, you work through it, and then you become closer thanks to that. And that's real harmony. It's about giving and receiving the good and the bad. It's like, when do you guys have friends that if you're really excited about an idea, but you think, it's far-fetched, like I want to be this big, I don't know, like I want to be a really important person in society, but you're too afraid to tell people. That's not a good sign. You should be able to tell your friends your biggest dreams, but also your biggest fears, and giving and receiving that, and also the mundane along the way. That's real harmony again. And sharpening your ideals. You cannot know what you believe in an isolated chamber. You need to be able to practice what you believe in within community. That's why I believe religions are great, is because they keep you accountable for what you believe in. But you also have to be honest about what you believe in, because if you're having doubts, that's good. That's important. You work that out. But if you keep it all into yourself, then again, you're not experiencing the benefit of the reason why those people are in your life. All this leads up to a life of integrity, where you're slowly becoming the person that you choose to be. Okay. You say, I'm this person, and you are that person. They're one and the same. That's when you can really have harmony, because there's no discord. Discord is like, I want to be this, but I'm like this. And then you're left with this gap that makes you feel terrible about yourself. That's a recipe for disaster. And that's where a lot of people are. And they're living in their own kind of hell that they've created for themselves. So to be in harmony with your purpose means to be constantly building a legacy. And a legacy is something that extends beyond you. It doesn't have to be world level. It doesn't have to be like the president or prime minister of a country or anything like that. It just means to impact your environment and the people in it in some way, shape, or form. And that could honestly just be one person. If you really impact one person, that's really still very much important. So finding your way to contribute to something bigger than yourself. Again, that could be as small as one person is bigger than yourself, because now it's two people. But it could also be through your career. If you're lucky enough, because that's a great way to spend your day, is like investing in one thing that's growing and growing and growing, which is your career. So yeah, it's nice to be, we are cells in the human body. Right? We're all individual cells in what we call this collective human body. So to be a flowing cell in this human body, we need to find out, where do we fit? How do we fit into this whole thing? How can I contribute to impact the human body in a healthy way? And some people do feel called to do bigger things that impact more people, and some people don't. And it's good to be honest about that. If we have a world like in America where everybody wants to be number one, everybody wants to be the king or queen, it doesn't work. It's a disaster. It's good to be number two or number three or number four. It doesn't matter. We're all a part of, like, is there one part of your body that you wouldn't miss if it got chopped off? No. Maybe your fingernails. So maybe you shouldn't be a fingernail. But a finger, you wouldn't want to lose any single one of these babies. Or your nose, or your eyebrow even. My dad, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. My dad used to cut his eyebrows, and I'd show him like, Dad, half your eyebrows missing. What the hell happened? Off topic, the scope of contribution. Yeah, I just went into that. So the success in your sense of harmony is like, as an entity, is your success with being here and now, with the providence of God, the providence of history, and the universal flow of things. There's a reason why you were born now and not 100 years ago, 200 years ago. You have certain skill sets that, like, I heard a funny talk about Bill Gates. Like, if Bill Gates was born like 500 years ago, he might have just been killed early on. He's like weak. He doesn't have, he's like good at computers. That's useless, except for the time and place that he was born in, right? So it's good to find out why you were born now. And most people never really deeply ask that question. And again, I think because of movies, because of media, we're looking for some big, glorious answer that I'm here to change the environment. I'm here to save the oceans or something like that. It's like, okay, some people, yes, but honestly, is it not good enough just to be a really solid person in your community, to be a stable force in your community that others can rely on, whatever that community is? It could be your job or whatever. it's important to have that level of self-awareness. Okay. And so I know a lot of people also, I included this because a lot of people say, well, I was born this way. I'm a shy person, so I can't do this. And all that's nonsense. Okay. It's nonsense. You can actually choose what you think, how you feel, and how you experience life. Okay. So genes program your nervous system. You have nervous system that reacts. And so for instance, a lot of people say, I'm afraid of snakes. Okay, great. You are afraid of snakes now. You don't have to be your whole life, because your nervous system controls your behavior. But you know what controls your behavior too? Perception. So I've known many people who overcome stuff. I'm in the business with High Noon and a lot of the kind of interpersonal stuff that I do to help people see themselves in a different way. Because when you change your perspective, you change how you experience everything. So on a certain topic about yourself, let's talk about yourself. Let's say I'm lonely. That's your perspective, that you're lonely, or that you're shy, or you're awkward, or whatever the case may be. That's your perspective, and you're just feeding it with information, with data all the time by reaffirming this belief in yourself. But the moment you start to think about it differently and say, no, maybe I'm not, and you start to feel new things, it changes your nervous system and how you experience yourself. But it can be with any aspect of your life, okay? We can modify our nervous system. So, for instance, there are these monks that train, I read about them, they train listening to the sound of bombs, okay? And they do this so that they don't react when they hear harsh noises. They could hear a gunshot, and all of us, because we're not used to it, our nervous system goes into fight or flight, and we're freaking out because we just heard a noise that we perceive to be very dangerous. They've trained themselves to not be afraid of sharp, harsh noises, loud, explosive noises, so they don't even react. They can just slowly look. And that's what Navy SEALs and all this stuff do. Practically speaking, you can, let's say you feel a certain way about yourself or about another person. You can change how you feel about yourself or another person. That's the benefit of the era that we live in presently. We can curate our thoughts. So in order to create harmony, you need to have control of your mind, your heart, your body, and your spirit. You need to have dominion over yourself. Yeah. So that means we need to curate, we need to choose, select, handpick the thoughts that serve us best, and the emotions that propel our thoughts to convince our spirit to move our body into action. And then we're working in tandem, because we're doing the stuff, we're thinking the stuff that we want to think, and it's making us feel the way we want to feel. And we're doing stuff that makes us feel great, and it's helping everybody in the way that we want to make an impact. So success is internal first. I'm wrapping up, don't worry. It's an internal thing. Success needs to be defined internal in order for you to have any control over it. Otherwise, you will always be a slave to circumstance. And if life is going great, then you're happy. And if life seems like it's going out of control, then you're sad and you're angry and you say, why me? My life sucks. Why did my parents, they didn't have enough money? And we all do this when we're being victim version of ourselves. But if you want to guarantee success, it's an internal thing. You can control it. If you practice, you can control what you think and how you feel. That means that you're successful no matter what you do, because it's an internal experience. Okay. Oh yeah, wait, that was a good point, man. We impact the planet's nervous system. We have our own nervous system in which we react to certain things, but we are part of the planet, and we're obviously negatively impacting its nervous system. And that's why it's off kilter. And it's like, all these things that are going on in the planet, people being displaced environmentally because water is not here and there. It's because we're out of harmony individually. We're creating all sorts of discord in our lives through competition, through blah, blah, blah. And we're impacting the nervous system of our planet negatively. In order to change that, it's not an external thing. It starts internally and then it cascades outwardly, externally. So the legacy formula is, in previous generations, change was created by force. Countries would take over other countries, we'd steal other people's resources, the game. But in this era, it's our responsibility to substantiate a thriving personal ecosystem first. That means that we are working on ourselves internally, creating internal wholeness, which is internal success, And that moves outwards into our relationships with other people. It moves into our career. It moves into every aspect of our life. And all of a sudden, this success that started internally starts to make a massive impact in the lives of other people. Okay. But it's not the other way around, which is how most of us perceive it. If we just get the right politician, then our country will be great. No, it's not going to work that. We have to stop relying on external means to fix internal problems. So the essence of who we are gets infused into everything that we create. I'd love to talk about epigenetics one day. It's a very exciting topic, but it's basically like the amount of work that you do on yourself deeply impacts the genes that you pass on. So if you do a lot of personal work now as you're single, you're creating better genes for your future kids. So it's really cool. I have a bunch of questions for you. I'm sorry. I get fired up when I talk about this. I don't even know. That could have been 4 hours. It could have been 3 minutes. I have no idea. I'm guessing it was on time, but I have some questions for you. Have you ever felt completely in harmony? This is important. Where everything was working synchronistically. I can never say this word. I tried the other day. I did. Synchronistically. What were the circumstances to achieve that? When you really felt connected, when everything just kind of flowed and it just worked, your relationships worked and all that, what were you doing? What were you thinking? What kind of music were you listening to? It's important to understand how to build this kind of intentional life. So to look back at past times that you were like that, that's the first question. Second question, have you ever felt in harmony with your purpose? Have you ever really felt like you're hitting your stride? Like, oh, I really feel like this is in line with who I'm supposed to be and how I'm going to impact this world. Number 3, what would internal success look like for you? This is one fundamental point. Without a vision, you're lost. So what would it look like if you were internally successful? What kind of thoughts would you be having? What type of feelings would you be having? What would you be doing? What kind of conversations would you be having? What would your life look like if you were really, really just a happy, fulfilled person all day, every day? Number 4, what can you start doing as soon as possible in order to generate more life harmony? Alex, my cousin, please take it away.
Thank you, Uncle. Yes, I really, when you talked about that woman in the bus singing and bringing joy to the passengers, and then you started cracking up jokes throughout your talk, I felt like you were doing that with your talks. You know, you were bringing fun and love and smiles. The British umbrella joke gets me every time, so I enjoyed that as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Yes, for talk. We can all give a round of love.